Television is not the truth. Television is a goddamn amusement park. Television is a circus, a carnival, a traveling troupe of acrobats, storytellers, dancers, singers, jugglers, sideshow freaks, lion tamers, and football players. We're in the boredom-killing business. So turn off your television sets. Turn them off now. Turn them off right now. Turn them off and leave them off. Turn them off right in the middle of the sentence I'm speaking to you now. Turn them off.
Stop them. An idea whose time has come cannot be stopped by any arm.
Welcome to Eradicating Programmed Ignorance, brought to you by the Liberty Beacon Project and broadcast on TLBTV. I am your host, Roger Landry, the founder of the Liberty Beacon Project, and of course I'm joined every week by the lovely and extremely intelligent Rebecca Mahan, who has her own show called Rebecca Sounds Reveille. I strongly recommend that for anybody who wants to find out a little bit more about the things going on around them. Today, we have a special guest. We have a partner, a friend of the Liberty Beacon Project, and by that I mean we share information and resources. This is a phenomenal individual who has contributed quite a bit to the Liberty Beacon Project going forward. Today, we're going to be talking about a few pet projects of his that should be of interest to all of us. As we go forward, you're going to find out that this gentleman is a virtual cornucopia of information and one of the best activists I know. And y'all know I've been doing this for about 7, going on 8 years now. I would dare say that my guest has been doing it for a lot longer than that. I've been looking forward to this show. This is a gentleman who brings a lot to the game, and you're going to find that out. But Rebecca, why don't you tell our audience a little bit more about our guest, and then we'll bring him into the show.
Absolutely. Our guest, like you said, is well-rounded. He's also very educated. He has a Bachelor's of Arts and Science in Biology from University of Delaware. He also has a Master's in Divinity at Westminster Theological Seminary. He has studied marketing at University of Delaware. He is also the director of both KBN C Action News and KBN Sequest Kids. He also works with a foundation an organization called We the Kids. And he is the very basis of the foundation of Advance America Foundation Sequest Kids, which is an organization that is absolutely unbelievable in what they do for children in our country. And there is so much more to him, and I know that we're going to talk a lot about that here on the show today, and I'd like to welcome Steve Gronka. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Rebecca and Roger. Great to be here.
Well, it's great to have you here. It's very, very seldom that we get a chance to talk face-to-face like this. Usually it's a message here, a message there, or a phone call. And I had forgotten just how distinguished you look, my friend.
Yeah. I'll take all the encouragement I can get, Raj.
All right. Well, let's start this off by you telling us how you would like to set this conversation up tonight. I know that you want to talk about the children. I know that you want to talk about what we can do to help the children. And I would like you to talk about the many or the multiple organizations that you represent. And let's start off by letting our audience know a little bit about this background.
Okay. Primary in what we try to do in setting up Advance America Foundation was to have an education foundation which presented the strongest education programs possible to motivate kids in particular to want to study. In schools today, we so often see where the kids, they just don't want to study. And the programs in schools today are geared towards making things easier and easier. There's the program things that are going on, which basically are dumbing down our population. And we can't have that. The stronger and more educated kids are, the more likely they are to succeed at everything that they're doing. And that's got to be better for the country and the world. So
Would you say that it is our ultimate responsibility to our children, because they are the future of America? And would you agree that this all starts off with the education they get? Because in school, you not only learn reading, writing, and arithmetic, you learn how to socialize, okay?
Right.
You learn how to become a part of the community. Well, I've got a real big thorn in my side about education today. And just a quick reply from you. What do you think of Common Core?
That tells you right there.
I knew that was coming, Roger.
Of course.
What a laugh.
When you have, and I apologize, just let me get through this, Steve. I warned you about this. When you have a system of education that is not written by educators, but is written by corporatists, okay? And you've got to remember all the way back to Henry Ford, who initially said, I don't want intelligent people, I want good workers.
Yeah.
And this is one of the guys who started the boards of education in so many cities across the country. And it was basically to teach kids to be good workers, not good thinkers.
Yeah.
Because they don't want good thinkers, because you would challenge the system. Now, you started it off by saying that what they're learning today has to get easier and easier and easier so that those who can't pass can pass. What that does is it leaves anybody who can accelerate, okay, stuck in the middle with everybody else. So it's doing damage to our children. Well, you know what I think about Common Core now, but please continue.
No, well, the other thing about Common Core, Raj, is that came out of communist thinking. Came directly from the Soviet Union and other communist countries. So,
Ouch.
Yeah, ouch is right. It got wrapped into what we call Common Core, so it couldn't be identified as communist, and here it is in our schools. And the most telling thing is when you meet people from the former Eastern Bloc countries, every one of them says, this is what they shoved down our throats in school in our communist countries. And they said, beware America, it's here already, and that they're doing the same thing to you that they did to us. You can't let it happen. They beg people here in this country to stop it, to be aware of it, and to deal with it, to get it out of our school systems.
Well, doesn't it scare you a little bit when you see the popularity of people like Bernie Sanders, who is a self-professed socialist, okay?
Yep.
And we see the influence of the extreme left, the progressives,
Yep.
which if you try to put a division line between the extreme progressives in this country, which more and more it seems the left is shifting to, and socialism / communism, that dividing line is very blurred. It's hard to tell one from the other at this point.
Well, I don't even bother anymore, Raj. They're commies. They're all a bunch of commies, whether they want to recognize it for themselves or not. It's like people that don't believe in God. Hey, you can not believe in God all you want, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't exist. So,
Very
same
good.
with the commies in this country. They don't want to believe that they exist as commies, but that's what they are.
So let's go into a little bit more about your projects here, and I will try, like hell, to refrain from opening my mouth,
Right.
unless I'm breathing.
Exactly in line with what we're saying. The key thing is education for the kids. And not only education for the kids and what they're getting in that education, but the kids have to be strongly centered enough in themselves to be self-sufficient, to be able to stand up on their own and have a backbone and look at what's going on around them in the world and identify those things and say, okay, well, I'm not going to accept that. Even though I'm a kid and I'm coming through the system, there's something I got to do to be able to change that or make that better. So the combination that we have with Sequest kids and We the Kids is so strong because Sequest kids is the most life-changing thing I've ever seen activity for a child that I've ever seen kids do. And I'll give you a couple of examples on that real quick. We started Advance America Foundation in 1989. So we have, 28 years of experimenting with education programs. Initially, when the foundation started, for some reason, people from around the world thought that our mission was to evaluate education programs for kids. And that wasn't our mission, but we looked at these other programs and we looked at some things that we wanted to do and other things that we found. And after years of seeing these other programs and working with them, we found that the number one thing to motivate kids to want to study virtually any academic discipline is for them to build their own boat and learn how to use it. By far the leading thing, not even a close second. And everyone says, oh, yeah, okay, well, hands-on, all the hands-on programs are good. And for the most part, they are all good. But the thing of it is, building the boat stood out so far above all the rest of them that it's astonishing. It's totally life-changing for the kids. So,
what do you think, Steve, is the significance of the boat? Because it can take you where you want to go, anywhere in the world?
Well, that's partly it. And one of the other PR people that has looked at our program said, well, you know, if it wasn't for boats, America wouldn't have been discovered. So without boats,
and hence goes right along with what you have going with We the Kids and the real basis of our Constitution and history.
Right, exactly. Now, here's why I think the real power is on changing the life of a child when they build a boat. When you talk to people, whether adults or kids, almost everybody has fantasized about being on a boat at some point in their life, especially like laying back, the sun's beaming down on you, a gentle breeze is blowing over you, you're bobbing up and down gently on the little waves and ripples going by. And it just is such a soothing thought and so liberating. And you feel that sense of freedom being out on the water. And I think it becomes a very strong subconscious image. And when those kids in our program can realize that with their own hands through their own effort in 2 days or less, it just changes their life. They think they can do anything, literally. So I'll give you a couple of quick examples. We were in Key West at the Offshore World Powerboat Racing Championships.
I used to live there.
Is that right, Raj?
Yes.
The local Boys and Girls Club wanted us to have the youngest kids in the club build 2 boats. So I got all the materials ready to go over and start building the 2 boats, and a hurricane was blowing into the Keys. So we had to go on a hurry-up schedule. So I unload the boat parts at 12:30. By 5 o'clock, we had 2 boats built and prime painted. We had 23 kids from 4 years old to 11 years old building the boats. Now, normally you have 6 kids max on a boat. Boats are 10 feet long. So with 6 kids, it's a little crowded, but it's still doable. We had 11 on one boat and 12 on the other. And normally when there's that many kids, they're banging into each other so much, they're like little bumping cars, and they're not really getting as much building done as you would hope. But the kids did great. We had the 2 boats finished and prime painted, and the parents came to pick their kids up. So they see the boats and they say, where did these boats come from? And I said, well, your kids built the boats this afternoon. They didn't believe it. They didn't want to believe it. So as I'm trying to explain to the parents that their kids really built those boats in an afternoon, a group of about 12, 13 of those kids came up. They had their nail aprons on, their hammers in hand, paintbrushes, glue guns, and they shout at me in unison, hey, Steve, we want to build a skyscraper. They were dead serious. They were totally dead serious.
Well,
So-
the good thing about building a boat just before a hurricane is, boy, if I'm going to build something just before a hurricane, what could be better than building a couple of boats,
Oh, yes.
Right.
especially in the Keys?
Yeah. Right. At that point, though, the parents actually did believe that their kids built the boats. So in our program, normally in teams of 2 to 6, including all special needs kids, kids from 4 years old through college age, build the 10-foot boat, paddles, oars, mast, sail, sail rig, and outboard motor bracket. They get boating safety trained, become part of an international group of kids that have all built their own boats. And the whole idea ultimately is that we want to see a Little League style activity for kids that have built their own boats.
You, as far as what I can see, okay, my observation from what you've just said, let me tell you what I think these kids took away from that, all right? One, team effort, all right?
Right.
We're not going to get this done in time unless we all work together. And
Right.
a sense of accomplishment that a 4 to 11-year-old kid is not going to get anywhere else. How many of those kids to this day are still telling people, I built a boat?
Right.
Yes.
I built a boat. And what you have done is you have given them, you sparked ambition, you sparked pride, you sparked team, I don't know, effort. You sparked. So when I look back at the project that you're discussing, those kids took away from that probably more than an entire year of Common Core education gave them.
Exactly right. And the thing is, by building the boat, you can work virtually any academic discipline into that you want. The sciences are obvious, so you can
Yes.
take all the physics, the math, even the chemistry with water quality testing and things of that nature. Environmentalism, history, languages. We also have the kids learn how to use a microphone and do interviews and shoot high definition. And we took all those interviews and compiled them into a 6 DVD series on boating and water safety for kids and families. Largest video education project ever done in the marine industry. It's been called by experts from every field of safety the best work in safety that's ever been done.
Unbelievable.
People in the recreation business, best work that's ever been done. People from the National Marine Manufacturers Association. Wow, we wish we could do something like this. And I said, well, you can, because we're always available to help you out. So the thing is that we were able to take kids off the street, literally, virtually. There were times when people said, oh, well, we're going to have all the kids ready for you when you get here. And I would arrive at a place where we're going to do all these shoots, and there were no kids. So I would just go out in the street and start identifying kids and walk up to them and tell them what we're doing, get their permission from their parents and bring them back, teach them what to do with the microphone and do the interviews and the demonstrations. And that's how we did probably about 1/3 of all the interviews and demonstrations were done in that manner.
I
Just
love it.
Kids off the street. So not
Would you-
kids that were
would-
highly
would you-
trained in either film and television or boating.
Would
So-
you agree with me that projects like this are paramount in the development of children today and something that is seriously lacking in the system of education that's being forced upon us?
Absolutely, no question about it. Especially because building the boat has such a strong impact on the life of the child. And it's so highly motivating. They're ready for anything after that, including building skyscrapers, like I mentioned. Now,
Well, I think the pride that you instilled in these children is probably one of the biggest issues. And
Yeah.
if you take a look, and again, I keep going back to Common Core, but it is the antithesis of what you're trying to do. If you
Yeah.
take a look at a standard Common Core class today, okay, it is set up for the average child, okay?
Right.
Those who cannot keep up and those who excel are all brought to the middle.
right,
Because the individual who couldn't keep up gets a medal, just like the kid who did well.
right,
So what am I doing? One, I'm shooting down the pride of that child that excelled, because I worked my butt off and I did better than everybody else. But the kid, and I'm not blaming these children, some children do have learning disabilities, so on and so forth. This child, this kid in my class who hardly did anything, got a medal too. So why should I excel? So when you put them in a situation like this, where everybody has some talent. The kid who can't do math worth a crap may swing a hammer much better than the kid who's a whiz at math. So what you've got the kid that's great at math saying, okay, this has to be 3 foot 4 inches long. This has to be measuring things out. And you've got the kid who's not great at math, but great with his hands, putting this stuff together, so on and so forth. So everybody gets an equal level of pride. Whereas in the Common Core class, that pride is actually annihilated.
Yeah.
What you're just talking about, Roger, is something that is within the character of every one of us. We all have a specific drive. Some of us work for recognition, some of us work for money, and we utilize our talents to achieve the things that make us excel. And when we take away that drive and we do not allow it to excel,
Or recognize.
essentially,
Yeah.
you know, as adults, we do not achieve our long-term goals in the way that we should, where it would be healthy and happy for us. And by just placing everybody in a lump group of being a standardization, we're really, it's a detriment to children and to our society as a whole.
So now you've got 2 votes, and you've got parents that are absolutely amazed, and you've got a bunch of kids that couldn't be prouder of what they accomplished. All right, so let's move on to a couple of other scenarios, because I know it doesn't stop in Key West.
Oh, no. Well, we, for about 10 years, went to the Wheeling, West Virginia vintage race boat regatta. And they sponsored Easter Seals. So Easter Seals, as you know, deals mostly with children that are crippled in some way. So there was one boy, Kyle, 11 years old at the time, paralyzed from the waist down. He used arm brace crutches to get around. So people in the audience, if they don't know what an arm brace crutch is, it attaches at the elbow and the brace goes down to their hand, and then the rod extends down to the ground, and they plant the rod ahead of them and then swing their hip and drag their leg. So that's how they get around. Well, they told Kyle that he was going to build a boat at the event that year. And they said he couldn't talk about anything else for 6 weeks. All he wanted to do was build that boat. So his mom pulls up at the event, and Kyle's getting out of the car. He's shouting at the top of his lungs, "Mommy, I'm going to build a boat. I'm going to build a boat. Mommy, I'm going to build a boat." And he's shouting that the whole way. He's making his way towards the kids that are in the work area building the boats. You could see he wanted to go faster and faster. So at one point, he got so frustrated, he threw the arm brace crutches on the ground, and he started to run. And like 15 adults and a bunch of kids all witnessed it.
Oh, wow.
Do you believe in miracles?
Crutches on the ground and started to run. Yeah. And he didn't have endurance. So he went about 12 yards. He got to me. I was standing there talking to some people. Everyone was dumbfounded, mystified, tears coming down people's faces. They're crying, you know, astonished, mouths wide open, couldn't believe what was happening. Kyle gets to me and he collapsed right into my lap. But he's looking up at me the whole time. And he's saying, "I'm going to build a boat. I'm going to build a boat." And I say, "Kyle, you are definitely going to build a boat." And he did. And
that is amazing.
And he never needed the arm brace crutches after that. He came back.
Oh, wow.
Helped other kids build boats. Yeah.
All right. We all know and anybody who doesn't know listening to this needs to understand. The biggest asset to this country is not its wealth. The biggest asset to this country is not the 3 to 5 trillion barrels of oil that's supposed to be under the southern Rocky Mountains. The biggest assets to this country is not our space program or our military. The biggest asset to this country is our children. And if we do not take the time and focus the energy to make sure that these children, their dreams come true, their inspirations are, enhanced, and their pride is instilled, then one generation later, what we see is our failures. And those failures come out in our country. Okay? I know this might not be a popular thing to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. We have the most liberal generation ever born in this country. They're called millennials. Okay? The most liberal generation ever born in this country. And today we have a country, and that's where everybody is politically correct. You can't say things that hurt my feelings. I need a puppy to pet, okay? I need a crying room. I need a so on and so forth. This is the generation that is about to take the reins of America. But as we saw when I was growing up, we rebelled against our parents and we changed America. And the next generation rebelled against us and they changed America. And now we're sitting at the door where the millennials are about to take the reins. And it makes me shudder. But what I am seeing in my grandchildren, the last generation born, is what could easily be described as one of the most conservative generations ever born in this country, because they are rebelling against their parents. And I would imagine that the ideas and the ideals that you're putting forward and instilling are very welcomed by this generation.
Yeah, the kids, the intensity level of their participation in the program never ceases to amaze me. It's always astonishing. And the program works with every kind of special needs there is. So whether the kids are blind, deaf, juvenile offenders, attention deficit disorder, kids that have gone to reform schools, every kind of kid there is, every background there is, every special need there is, I've seen the same impact across the board. It's life-changing. They get so much confidence. They feel like they can do anything. They'll study anything you put in front of them as they're building the boat and after. It's astonishing. It's just plain.
I love it.
So how many of these kids do you think are going to grow up to be boat builders?
Well, I'll give you another interesting story on that. We were at, in Orange Beach, Alabama. This is probably about 15 years ago. Another national championship with the offshore powerboat racers. And one of the groups of kids was a brother and sister, and they were the son and daughter of one of the boat builders who was represented at the event. And the little boy, in the course of the 3 days that they were working on boats, told me that he didn't really like the boat building thing too, not the Sequest kids part, but his dad's boat building business, and he really didn't think he was going to go into it. So he and his sister loved building their boat. They ended up winning our first national paddle race championship with their dad. And then about 8 or 9 years later, I was talking to this young man again, and he said, Steve, he said, I like building that Sequest boat so much, I decided I wanted to be in business with my dad and build boats.
Very nice.
Okay, we left one word out of all of this, okay? Yep. And we've talked about Common Core, and we've talked about its ability to, to snatch the dreams away from kids. The word that I'm talking about here is ambition, okay? Common Core instills very little ambition. because if I'm not going to be recognized anymore for excelling than the child who doesn't bother, then why should I have the ambition to excel? So what you are describing here and what you just described to me all falls back under the umbrella of the word ambition. You have instilled not only pride in these children, but you've instilled the ambition. I built a boat with a bunch of friends, and that boat worked, and it was a great boat. And see what I can do? Now let's see what else I can do. That's the definition of ambition.
I love it. And
is
it's
a byproduct.
true. Yes. Yes.
So now we have this tremendous activity that will radically change the life of a child. And how can they use that? Well, one main way of using it is to have them be strong enough that they're willing to step out where other people are reticent and they want to pull back. And basically what they're being taught in schools today is to be subservient, submissive, don't go against authority, even if you know they're wrong, just step back and accept whatever. So that's what the people that want to rule the world are hoping will happen to every person out there, is that they'll become like that.
Who is the biggest, and I'm putting you on the spot, so you can tell me to screw off if you want. Who is the biggest contributor in funding and one of the founders of Common Core?
Oh, I would probably say someone like George Soros or
Bill and Melinda Gates.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. And a lot of that money was funneled in via George Soros, yes. But you would have to say the kingpin of Common Core is Bill Gates and the Gates Foundation.
Yeah.
Need I say more?
No, not at all. But here's the thing, though. We have these kids with a strong backbone. They're willing to stand up and they want to learn things. So now one of the things that they need to learn, because this is America and we're not a democracy, as they incorrectly teach in school, as basically it's one of the biggest lies taught in history courses in this country today, is that we're a democracy. No, we're a republic.
What is a democracy? A democracy is two wolves and a sheep deciding what they're going to have for dinner.
Right. Majority rules. Doesn't matter what the rights of the minority are. We're in power because we're the most. So whatever we say goes. That's what a democracy is. No, we have a republic because we recognize that everyone has rights and that you can't just trample on those rights because you have more people than the other guys do, or you have more firepower than the other guys do, which we're finding out today is one of our big problems in the country, is that enforcement draws their paychecks from the government. So is enforcement ever going to go against the government? Not likely. A few do, because they recognize what the outcome is going to be if they don't.
And there's some good sheriffs out there. There really are.
Yeah, definitely.
And some great policemen. There really are.
Yeah, but when you're drawing your paycheck from the government, you're not very much biased about doing anything that's going to go against them, because, hey, you want to be able to feed your family and pay your bills, and that's all legitimate, honest kind of thinking. So anyway, now we have We the Kids. So in We the Kids, the goal is to teach kids what the founding history of the country is as accurately as possible, and to make sure they understand, not just learn or not just memorize things about the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, and even more importantly, the Articles of Confederation, which was the original guideline and agreement among the colonies to how they're going to govern themselves and interact with each other, and then the explanation to the public, which was the Federalist Papers. So
all you're doing is reinforcing my comment that I believe we are looking at the most conservative generation to be born in 100 years.
Yeah. definitely. So once those kids understand that we really have a republic and not a democracy, and they understand that everyone has rights, and they know that those rights actually came from God, and that they were merely written down in the form of the Constitution and
as unalienable rights.
Right. And once they understand those things, now they have the basis to understand what their power is as the people. Because the government came from the people. The people didn't come from the government. It's like God created, so we're below him. The people created the government. The government is below us. But we're taught not to believe that, especially in the liberal education and the Common Core junk that kids are getting in the schools today.
Okay, I got to jump in here because I wrote an article on this a couple of years ago and it absolutely floored me, okay? This came from a mother who got absolutely irate, and you probably heard about this, Stephen, okay? Who got absolutely irate because her daughter brought home homework, and she sat down to help her daughter with her social studies homework. And do you know what that homework was telling her daughter? What she had to memorize, what she had to know, was that the rights are privileges granted by a benevolent government. Nothing could be further from the truth. And doing that right there goes all the way back to what we said about destroying the future of our children, making them subservient, okay? When you tell children that the government is all powerful and grants you rights because of their benevolence, what you've done is you've absolutely destroyed the true meaning of the Constitution, which states these rights are unalienable, you are sovereign, and anybody who works for this government works for you. Do I have that right, Stephen?
Yeah, exactly right. No doubt about it. And the thing is, that's why it goes so well with the Sequest kids, because now you have kids that are confident enough in themselves and independent enough in themselves and realize that they are doers and can really accomplish things, and that they can achieve what they imagine, and they can achieve the basic stuff that's right in front of them, and that they're ultimately going to be okay no matter what happens. They'll be able to come through, they'll be able to get organized, they'll be able to make things happen, and they'll be able to carry on. And I mean, look at how many people today, if you take part of their life, whatever it is, say a person loses their job or something like that, and they just feel like life has ended for them because they don't have enough backbone to say, all right, I'm going to get out there and go after it. I'm going to change this. I'm going to do something that's going to put me in a better place, that is going to be a real achievement for me. So
I have a question for you,
yeah.
okay? Have you ever met, not a supposed or not a figurehead, have you ever met a true leader, okay? A true leader that doesn't have ambition, that doesn't have the ability to read beyond. So when these kids get done building that boat, again, we've talked about ambition, we've talked about pride, we've talked about, these are the qualities of real leadership. So not only
Self-esteem.
right, self-esteem, not only are you teaching these children how to work in a social environment with other people, not only are you teaching them that they have the ability to succeed, but you're giving them the basics they need to form true leadership qualities. This is huge.
Yep.
Yes,
Definitely.
it is.
No question about it. Yeah, we feel so strongly about all those things that you just said, Roger. And when you look at what's happening today with government, the direction that it's going, and
This is TLB. Don't you think we look at that?
you see the liberals try to divert all attention away from the Second Amendment and gun ownership to being, it was originally about hunting. No, it was originally about making sure that the government doesn't overstep its bounds and that you are able to be out there and protect yourself against that. So
Agreed.
when this country was founded, the apparatus was set up so that the people could, through the court system, through grand juries, hold the government accountable. But when you go in the courts today and you try to talk about a grand jury, a lot of times they'll try to put you in jail right on the spot.
Unless you are a member of or a partner of the National Liberty Alliance, because they have set up grand juries in all 50 states and a U.S. grand jury.
Yep.
And there are times when they will push their way to the front, because you're talking about the true court,
Yep.
the people's grand jury.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
So,
Steve, this is absolutely amazing.
yeah, and we have people that have challenged the system, and we talked about enforcement before. Roger and I, months back, talked about Tom Deegan in West Virginia. Tom Deegan and two of his associates challenged the government of the state of West Virginia. They went into the state archives and they found that at every level of government, there was a private corporation operating, and that the person in charge of that level of government was the president or the CEO of that private corporation. So now you have, like, the governor is drawing his paycheck as governor. He's also drawing a paycheck as the head of this private corporation, which isn't supposed to exist. It's supposed to be there by law.
Double dipping.
Exactly. So people are going to say, "Oh no, that could never happen." Well,
Whoa, you just sparked another thing with me, and you know where I'm going with this. You know where I'm going with this, okay? The Act of 1871.
yeah,
What was the Act of 1871? It turned the United States, it is the biggest act of treason by the U.S. government in our history. They literally sold the United States to foreign bankers, and the United States from that point forward became a corporation run out of a foreign entity, which is Washington, D.C.
right.
And we lost our courts, which are supposed to be common law, to maritime law.
Right.
So what we are seeing, what you are talking about right now, is a microcosm compared to what has happened nationally. How many children do you think know that the United States is not, okay, although we will make it again, a true republic, it is in fact a corporation.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is so apropos and so necessary for people to understand.
Yeah, and I'm hoping some of the viewers and listeners to this are people that are not maybe the usual ones, or people that are curious and wanted to hear something different, because there are ways to identify exactly and prove exactly what's being said now. And if you go,
I never challenge people to prove me wrong. You know that. I dare them to prove me wrong.
And the lawful record is on file. The United States of America Corporation is all capital letters, as distinguished from America as a country, which is a capital at the beginning of each name in the United States of America, and then lowercase letters after that. And the other thing is, everyone kids about the nation being run by bankers. Well, in our current bankruptcy, which a lot of people don't know that the United States is now legally in a bankruptcy, the United Nations was appointed as the executor of the bankruptcy. And the United Nations appointed the World Bank as the overseer of that bankruptcy. So the banks do actually run the country.
Well, yeah, and not only that, but it is the banksters who own United America Incorporated. But I want to get back on topic here, because we're down to less than 10 minutes, and I want to refocus on the children once more. And you know, if you do a discussion with me, we go down paths that may be familiar with what we're talking about, but we don't always stay on path. So let's get back to the children. Let's get back to your organization. If you got any more great short stories to tell us, I'm fascinated by everything you've said to this point.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we were in Miami at the Miami Boat Show. We're on Watson Island in the sailing part of the show. And a man came in, Chuck, and he had his son and daughter with him. So we had Kelly, the daughter was 9, and his son, who was 13 years old at the time, Sean. And all the experts said that Sean was too mentally challenged, too ADD, and too violent to ever be socialized. They told the family, put him in an institution, because if you put him around people for any length of time, he's going to kill someone or he's going to hurt someone. So put him in an institution, hope for the best. That's all you're ever going to be able to do with Sean. So based on that information and the fears of one of my companions at the show, who he didn't really think that we should let Sean be around any of the other kids. And he said, look, Steve, if you let Sean build a boat, I'm leaving. I said, see ya. And he had to go back to Maryland. He had to go back to the Eastern Shore of Maryland. So anyway, Sean and Kelly, we put on their own boat because that was the expert's recommendation. So, okay, so we'll go along with that and see what happens. So we had 4 other boats, 5 boats altogether. We had about 50 to 60 kids that came through and helped build boats throughout the day. All the kids that were there saw that Sean was doing everything the right way, holding the parts together the right way, using the hammer and nails the right way. He was putting the screws in the right way, paint, glue, everything. So literally almost every kid there went up to Sean and asked for his help. You could see what his life changed right in front of your eyes. You could see it happen right there. Sean came up to me at the end of the day and he said, Steve, Sequest Kids changed my life.
Oh.
Sean, I know, I saw it happen right in front of me. I could see it. So Sean eventually graduated from high school. This is like 17 years ago maybe. Graduated from high school. He's married. He has 2 kids. He works 2 jobs to pay the bills. He's leading a totally regular American life. The kid that
This is awesome.
Or hurt someone if he was around people long enough. And then when Sean became a senior in high school, I get a call at the office up in Delaware. And they live on the south side of Miami, way down on the south side of Miami. So, I'm like halfway from Miami to Homestead, south of Miami. So I get a call from Sean, because we stayed in touch. From that time that he built that boat onward, he's always stayed in touch, writing, calling, stopping to see the family when I'm in Florida. He said, I failed my driver's test 2 times. He said, I need your help. I said, Sean, give me 24 hours and I'll be there. So I drove straight through the night. It was like 22 hours to get down to Sean. So I get there. We study the driver's manual. So I take him into the driver's test. And he's literally sweating bullets. I mean, sweat was coming down everywhere. He goes inside and he comes out an hour later, big smile on his face. I passed my test. I said, well, I could tell. So anyway.
This is awesome.
Yeah, Sean passed the test. But the story for that family got even better the next day at the boat show. Going back to that again, we'll regress in time here. There was a lady leading her blind son through the show. And you could tell he was blind because the way he was, his head movements, and you could tell he wasn't really seeing things, but he was listening more than he was trying to see. So anyway, I'm standing close enough and I hear him talking to his mom. He said, Mom, I want to build a boat. And I looked at the mom to get her approval. And when she saw me look at her, she grabbed him by the shoulder and started pulling him backwards and said, oh, my son's been totally blind since birth. I really don't think he would be able to do something like this. Now, Kelly, Sean's 9-year-old sister, She was standing close enough to hear and see what was going on. And she raised her hand. And she said, I'll teach him how to build his boat. And she did. She got a couple other kids because she knew she was going to need help. They showed him how to put parts together, how to hammer nails, how to put the screws in and paint. He hit his thumb so many times learning how to hammer nails, he named his boat Sore Thumb.
Oh, God. Well, I got to tell you something. That's got to be really, really, really great for the last story. What I'd like you to do over the next minute or two, talk about the organizations where people now, in the article that accompanies this show, everybody watching the show, you will find the links that Stephen's going to talk about down below the show. But let's go over the places where people can go to find out more about what we've been discussing today.
Okay. SeaQuestKids.org for Seaquest Kids. WeTheKids.us. And then,
I love it!
yeah. And then we have another group that we adopted today, which is Sprout, which they're all about packaging food and meals that are healthful for you. And we're trying to teach kids to learn how to pick healthful things to eat, become stronger physically to match their strength and their character. Now that they've built boats and they've learned about U.S. history and that we're a republic and not a democracy. So the whole thing goes together. Good health, good thinking, good awareness of the self, total confidence that you can do anything. Now we got leaders coming through the system.
This is awesome. I love it.
Yeah, go ahead, Rebecca.
Oh, this is just incredible and very well-rounded. I like that the focus on advancing America is about advancing our children, Steve.
Yeah, and then funding always is a big issue. There are some art curators that are trying to do auctions of high-end art for us. So, and we're talking about very high-end, like collections worth in excess of $10 million. A collector of the Masters in Miami has heard what we're doing with Seaquest Kids and about the art auctions and needing support. And he has a Da Vinci painting, which is estimated to be worth about $160 million. Now, from the art auctions, they want to donate 5% of whatever is generated from those auctions.
Excellent.
This person we thought was going to be doing the same thing, but he told the curator, Matt Virgin from Los Angeles, he said, had his business manager say to Matt, now we want to donate 15%. We have a buyer in Miami now that wants to buy this Da Vinci, and it will probably sell from $100 million to $160 million. So, yeah, people are getting the story about what we're trying to do, and they're starting to get very serious about getting behind what we're doing. And you know that we've been fought by the liberal side of America on what we're trying to do because they don't want to see this kind of thing happen. I mean,
do you have any other means of funding? GoFundMe? Are there donate buttons on your sites? I mean, do you have other mechanisms that people can use? Because I'm sure when people listen to what you've said in this show, you're going to find there's going to be some people who want to help.
Yeah, we have the donate buttons on our Facebook pages, so you can search Facebook. We have the video.
We'll have the link.
Yep, we have videos on YouTube, so you can look up my name or look up We the Kids and you'll be able to find videos. The videos are on our websites as well. And we have interviews with parents and the kids, so we get the parent perspective as well as the kids' perspective on what they're doing in building the boats. So we have a Square card reader, so I can take a credit card over the phone, or if someone's nearby, I can process it right on the phone. And we have, let's see, PayPal button that we can put on different locations or send to people. And we're doing a fundraiser now. Charles Kaplowitz, who is working on an alternative to Article 5 Constitutional Convention, which, because of the way those things are structured, they could be like a runaway freight train.
I know that. And
Yeah.
again, we've got to wrap this up, but I want to ask you something. And I never say anything for nothing. Okay. If I say something, then you know, well, you know me by now, Stephen.
Yeah.
Would it be okay if right after the new year, we put up a PayPal donation button on our flagship website, the Liberty Beacon, for
absolutely.
your project?
Absolutely. No question about it.
You need to remind me. We need to have a phone call right after New Year, and we will make that happen. I don't even have a donate button on the Liberty Beacon. You know us. We're all about being non-commercial. Everything we do right now is based on voluntary, globally. I mean, we're talking a dozen proprietary websites, about 24 partner websites, TLBTV, and none of it. We have three ads, and they're all for the best naturopathic medicines and
Yep.
and supplements. That's it.
Yeah. Yep.
That's it. So we don't even have a donate button or a PayPal button for the Liberty Beacon project, but I would be proud to put one on the Liberty Beacon for your project.
We'll take all the encouragement we can get, Raj.
Woohoo!
All right. Do you have any closing statements, Rebecca?
Thank you so much, Steve, for all you do for the kids and for just the future of the generations to come. We do appreciate that very much, and I know that the children's lives that you touch appreciate it as well.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thanks for having me on the show with Roger. Looking forward to coming back sometime.
Well, you notice he said, "Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you for having me on the show with Roger." Now, I can read two things into that. One, she's probably much more intelligent, definitely better looking, so I can see why she got the upper hand there. And second off, you and I have known each other for quite a while. I absolutely love your activism. I absolutely love the fact that you're one of the few people in what we call the liberty movement that actually realizes the necessity and the vital importance of reaching our children, because they are our future. More than anything in this country, our children are the biggest resource this country has. So, Stephen, you've always been very high on my list of individuals who need support, who need the light shined on you and the projects that you're running. We're very proud to have you on the show today. It's been a great show, and your stories have been awesome. I feel like I've been sitting here watching a TV show, with really entertaining short stories. It was phenomenal, Stephen. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, like I say, I'll take all the encouragement I can get.
And we will have you on again, and we will be talking soon, as in right after the new year, about that PayPal button. You will not let me forget this.
All right. Okay.
And for everybody watching, this has been another episode of Eradicating Programmed Ignorance, brought to you by the Liberty Beacon Project and broadcast on TLBTV. We wish you all a very pleasant day.